I mean, I don't actually know why it's so hard for me to get this video done, but okay, so let me be 100% real here for a few minutes, because at this point in time, for the whole thing, the only thing that I am wishing for is for it to be over, for it to be behind me, and for it to be settled once and for all. Therefore, I have to explain a few things, have some real talk with you, and later on I'm actually gonna hand it over, the decision, and then it's not up to me anymore, and then, well, I can move on at least. Because, well, before I'm actually gonna explain you the whole thing and recap it, I have to let you know my main two weaknesses as a YouTuber, but also as a person in general. And I mean, you maybe can't see it quite yet, but inside of myself I'm actually boiling, and I'm actually extremely pissed just for the fact that I have to make this video. One video that for a long time I thought it wouldn't be necessary to be discussed any further. But that leads me to my first weakness. I am very, very emotional, and a lot of times actually over emotional, and maybe even more so an issue is number two. I certainly don't always properly think through things that I'm saying in a video, the way I'm saying them in a video. I don't think about the consequences, the fallback, and I don't always think about the main thing. I'm a human person, obviously, besides being a YouTuber, and therefore things, opinions, and just everything else with time changes. And even more so hard for me it is to kind of see that people can't really get that, because all they see is the YouTuber but not the person behind it. And well, where should I start? I mean, maybe you don't even know what I'm talking about, so let's talk about the whole Huawei thing. According to a comment that I got yesterday, it was 11 months ago when I made the kind of, I guess, infamous Huawei video that was called like my last video about Huawei or something like that. And I mean, I still stand behind everything I said in that video, besides maybe the main premise where I called out that I won't ever review a Huawei phone anymore. And that obviously hasn't turned out to be true, because like half a year later I reviewed the Mate 20 series and now the Mate 30, the P30 series. And well, the other things that I said, like I hate the brand, I hate their marketing, I hate the way that, in my opinion, they treat their customers, is still a thing. Maybe it cooled down a little bit because like half a year I didn't have any contact with those phones anymore, but I still, up to this point in time, see that they are not willing to accept issues, recognize flaws and bugs over generations. Screen dimming, the most emotional thing about the whole thing that made me so angry, is still a thing. And there were so many people who said it's not a thing, even though it was measurable, it was proven. And especially since now there is a kind of workaround, a kind of pseudo fix or a solution for it, shows that it is a thing. A thing that Huawei never really fixed, even though I heard so many times about it. In the P30 series, it's still a thing. So that was the major starting point why this whole thing happened. Then, for example, DPI reverts after a restart sometimes, or just within the system for some reason that I don't get. Apps get killed way too often. Still, that is not that big of an issue. But for example, the fact that when I have an option, and that's what I always just wanted, when I have an option and I turn it on, I want it to be turned on. And when I turn it off, I want it to be turned off. But if I set brightness to manual, I don't want it at some point in the day just to switch back to automatic and take away my decision making in what brightness I want. And those are just things that they are still there after so many years, show me that they don't really respect their customer. But actually what I don't like is the respect, or like the better, let's say, the lack of respect that I got. I mean, obviously I was wrong in saying I'm not gonna ever review them, but I did. But like I said, I'm a human person, and things and opinions change with time. But what is the most kind of disappointing thing, the most obvious thing that makes me so angry, is that I see now people, and actually back already with the Mate 20 series, people questioning my integrity and my credibility, because they say, you said you won't ever do it again, but now you are doing it again. So if you said something and you didn't keep up to it, what other things did you say were like that weren't like that? And this is something that I think is just stupendous. Because, I mean, let's just think about it. I guess most of you are human persons as well. And at some point, I would bet on it 100% for sure, you have said, I will never ever do this or do that, and yet you did it. And why am I as a YouTuber, but most obviously also as a person, not being allowed to do that? Why have I to keep my word on that? I can't change my opinion, especially since I've also seen so many comments from people who told me, please, I mean, you maybe hated the brand, but your reviews were fair. Please, we still want to be informed about those phones from you because we trust you. And even if they can't trust me, especially, I still absolutely wholeheartedly believe in that. Whenever I said something about those phones, objectively, it was true. When I said the display was this and that, the speaker was this and that, the performance was this and that, it was like that. The only two major parts where I wasn't that, but obviously not, and I put it out in the open, was the software, where I said I don't like the bogus that they are doing, and the second thing was just the conclusion. But I also did it so many times in comments. When people asked me afterwards, which phone should I get, this or this Huawei? I said, please don't ask me. I'm not really the person you should ask about Huawei because I have some mixed feelings about them. But also later on I said, even when I absolutely objectively had to recommend the phone, I said, go for the Huawei. Do it. I mean, it's objectively between those phones the better ones. And if not, I just said, I'm not going to recommend you this, or I personally wouldn't go get it because I think the way I do. But I don't think that anything of that has to do with my integrity. It's not compromised. And I never was a super objective reviewer in the first place. And I mean, no review really is. But I so many times say, in my opinion, or this or that, and subjectively I think the way this is. But I do this with one main premise in my mind. I want to share my opinions so it helps you to make an informed decision, so you know the good sense and the bad sense. And I mean, I said it so many times, if I complain about certain stuff not to be good and you don't care about these things, the decision is up to you if you put any weight on that. Because, for example, when I say this phone is that, and that, but this is total rubbish and this is absolutely great, this is because I love it, this is because I hate it. But those things are ones that don't concern you at all. Just ignore it. And then because of the rest that I put out, objectively, make your decision. But, I mean, it makes me so angry that my credibility, my integrity gets questioned just because I said something and then I took it back. Or, well, let's just say what it is. I changed my mind. Because I didn't have any contact with those phones anymore, and it was your comments and you telling me that you want more reviews, and then also, after all, as a reviewer, as a tech enthusiast, my curiosity to see, have they changed? Have their phones gotten better? Are the issues that were a thing of the past maybe not a thing at all anymore? And because of the hype of all that the phones get, might it be something that I actually like a lot? And I mean, one thing that definitely hasn't changed back then or now is that I am not gonna review any of their mid-range or entry-level phones, because I absolutely stand behind this following sentence. Those phones are overrated and overpriced and in some way even crap. I mean, I don't want to call it crap because they are not bad phones, but for the price, the value doesn't fit in with the rest of the competition out there. I don't think you get enough good of a phone for that money, even if they get cheaper or anything like that. The Pro phones are something else, but I don't want to stretch this any further, so let's get to the poll, and I'm just going to hand over the decision to you. The question is pretty easy. Should I continue reviewing Huawei phones? Yes or no? No, in case you don't trust me, for whatever reason, in case you don't like my reviews anyways, in case you don't care about the Huawei reviews, do it. And I will do the same thing in a German video, and if over 50% are for yes, then I'm gonna continue. And if they are for no, and it doesn't matter if, then I'm just gonna stop it, because back then it was, like I said, my emotional thing. I said I don't wanna ever review them anymore. But if you all, as a big whole group, tell me to that, then the decision isn't up to me anymore, and then I'm definitely gonna stick to that. And if you then see me reviewing it once again, you can hold me accountable for that, for whatever that means. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just sad. I mean, why do I have to keep up higher standards? I'm not a professional. I'm just a YouTuber. And I say something and it's definitive. Because that was also a comment that I got. Someone said that the main issue of my thing and why he's taking my integrity into questioning is that the whole wording that I used was very definitive. Like, for example, I'm not gonna ever review them, it's my final video and all that. And I explained it and I said, I mean, I did it already in the May 20 videos, and I said people change their minds, and I think I'm allowed to do that, and I did that. And especially you have to consider I said that 11 months ago, and in the tech scene, 11 months are like half an eternity. So many things can happen there, but time also moves on fastly. And he said, but if you know that, you should know that a lot of things change, and you shouldn't use definitive words. But I mean, how definitive these days is never ever. I mean, I don't know how many people say, I'm never ever gonna do this, I'm never gonna do that and that. And no one thinks twice when he actually does it after all. But I can't do that, because the moment I say something and don't keep my word on it, I'm, discredited. Okay, fine. But then I'd at least wish you to just not watch my videos anymore, because the weird thing is everyone saw the infamous video. But where were all those people in the Mate 20 videos when I explained it? Where were they all in the comments of the P30 videos when people asked me about it? And I mean, 11 months later, this thing is still haunting me. And I can't move past it. But, well. Bye.